Minimum support price for agriculture produce. Introduction. The prices of agricultural commodities are inherently unstable, primarily due to the variation in their supply, lack of market integration, and information asymmetry. A very good harvest in any year results in a sharp fall in the price of that commodity during that year, which in turn has an adverse impact on the future supply as farmers withdraw from sowing that crop in the next following years. This then causes paucity of supply next year and the subsequent major price increase for consumers. To counter this, minimum support price for major agriculture product is fixed by the union government each year. The MSP is a tool which guarantees the farmers prior to the sowing season that a fair amount of price is fixed for the upcoming crop to encourage higher investment and production of agriculture commodities. Determination of minimum support price to protect the interest of the farmers against any sharp decline in agriculture prices. The government has been following the agriculture price support system since 1965. The price support system is expected to help the farmer after the harvesting period, which is associated with the high probability of the agricultural prices crashing due to surplus stock in the market. A government guaranteed MSP to farmers is expected to cover the cost of production together with certain profit margin to them. The MSP is fixed and announced every year by the central government on the recommendation of the Commission of Agricultural Cost and Price. In addition to the MSP announced by the central government, the state governments also declare a bonus over and above the already declared MSP so as to promote agriculture practices in their respective states. The quantum of this bonus varies from state to state and from crop to crop. The CSCP recommends MSP for 25 agricultural crops every year, which inter alia includes paddy, wheat, cotton, oilseeds, jute, pulses. Role of the Commission of Agricultural Cost and Prices. The Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices, earlier known as Agricultural Price Commission, came into existence in 1985. At present, the CACP comprises of a chairman, a member secretary, one member, and two members representing the farming community in formulating the recommendation for the level of the MSP and other non-price measures. The Commission takes into account many factors like the cost of production, changes in input price, crop price, parity, trends in the market price, demand and supply, effect on cost of living, international price situation. The CSCP recommendation for the MSP is based on A2 plus FL cost, which include all paid out costs such as cost of hired human, animal, machine labor, rent paid on land, expense on the various inputs include seeds, fertilizers, irrigations, etc. It is also include imputed value of wages of family labor and depreciation of farm machinery and building. The CSUP submits its recommendations to the government in the form of price policy reports every year separately for five groups of commodities including kharif crops, rabi crops, sugarcane, rosewood, and copra. Before preparing aforesaid five pricing policy reports, the Commission draws a comprehensive questionnaire and sends it to all the state governments and concerned national organizations and ministers to seek the abuse. Subsequently, separate meetings are also held with from different states, state governments, organizations like the Food Corporation of India, National Agricultural Cooperative Marketing Federation of India, Cotton Corporation of India, Jute Corporation of India, traders organizations, processing organizations, and key ministries. The commissions then finalize its recommendation based on all these inputs, which are then submitted to the central government. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs of the Union government takes a final decision on the level of the MSPs and other recommendations made by the CSEP. Implementation of minimum support price system. The MSP for all the crops under the ambit of the MSP regime is announced before the sowing season. This makes it possible for farmers to have an idea about the extent of price insurance cover provided by the government. Besides the announcement of the MSP, the government organizes procurement operations of these agricultural commodities through various public and cooperative agencies. The Food Corporation of India is a nodal central agency along with other state agencies which undertake the procurement of wheat and paddy, coarse grains and procured by the state government's agencies for central pool, while procurement of oilseeds, pulses, cotton, etc. is done by the NAFED, Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortium, Cotton Commission of India, and other agencies under price support scheme for sugarcane. MSP has been assigned a statutory status and termed as fair and remunerative price. There is a statutory binding on the sugar factories to pay FRP declared by the government each year. MSP and its challenges. The objective of the making farming profitable cannot be achieved through the procurement based minimum support price policy because it is neither possible nor desirable for the government to buy each and every commodity in the market across the country. Some of the challenges faced by the existing MSP policy are as follows. First, while calculating the minimum support price, the CACP considers both C2 cost and A2 plus FL cost. C2 cost includes national value of imputed rental value of owned land and interest on owned capital in addition to the A2 plus FL cost, but the gain on MSP is reckoned only with respect to A2 plus FL cost, which means the C2 cost is not considered while calculating the net gain to farmers. For instance, MSP announced for Kharif 2017 to 2018 shows that if the C2 cost is used as benchmark, the return for paddy crop is only 4.4%, while for crops like jowar, ragi, moong, and for some other crops it is negative. Similarly, MSP announced for Rabi crop 2018 is also showing a gain of less than 50%. Second, the MSP computed by the CACP is based on an average cost taken for the whole of the country, while there is substantial regional variation in the production cost of different crops. Third, the successful implementation of the MSP scheme can be achieved only if the targeted population is aware of most of the aspects of the scheme like prevailing MSP time of the announcement, the process of procurement facilities provided by the government and payment mechanism. Fourth, public procurement at MSP is disproportionately focused on wheat and rice and sometimes even at the expense of other crops such as pulses and oilseeds. This results in buffer stock of paddy and wheat above the required norms along with frequent price spikes in pulses and edible oils. Fifth, it is also claimed that states with higher wheat and rice production such as Punjab and Haryana get the most benefit by MSP regime, while the other states with less production lag behind under this scheme. Sixth, the difference between the international and the domestic price of crops may influence the export and availability of crops for domestic consumption. When international prices are much higher, farmers prefer to export, thereby resulting in the lower procurement by the government agencies, which leads to scarcity of food grains. Similarly, if the MSP exceeds international prices, it can lead to decline in export as more farmers will sell their produce for government procurement. Initiative on new procurement mechanism. The central government is working on a new procurement mechanism that will focus on all crops that comes under the ambit of MSP, unlike the existing practice where wheat and paddy get the most attention. The government purposes to strengthen the procurement mechanism to ensure that the farmers do not suffer from market inefficiencies, as is commonly reflected in the prices ruling lower than the notified MSP. For many commodities, several new initiatives are under consideration and the central government has entrusted Niti Aayog with the responsibility to finalize the same is consultation with the state. Niti Aayog has discussed the following three concepts as that will address to shortcomings of the existing scheme of procurement under MSP and offer a robust alternative system. First, Market Assurance Scheme (MAS). Market Assurance Scheme will be a scheme for procurement of pulses, oilseeds and coarse grains produced in the respective states. Under this scheme, it is proposed that the state or union territories will make procurement for notified crop except rice and wheat at MSP through state level agencies directly from the farmers. The MSP value of the procured crops under MAS will be transferred directly to the bank account of beneficiary farmers. The entire decision for the procurement up to the level of disposal will be taken by the concerned state. RUTs, the central governments will compensate the losses of up to 40% of the MSP value of procured commodities for state and up to 50% for Himalayan and northeastern states. Second, Price Deficiency Procurement Scheme (PDPS). Under this scheme, if the scale price is below the average wholesale price for the selected commodities at the end of every month in the state RUTs, the farmers may be compensated to the difference between MSP and the actual price that is subject to a ceiling which may not exceed 25% of the MSP. The compensation amount will be directly credited to the farmer's account. The losses incurred on the implementation of this scheme will be shared between the central and state governments. Madhya Pradesh is already implementing Bhavantar Yojana on the line of PDPS on a pilot basis. Third, private procurement and stockist scheme. Under this scheme, private entities will be invited to participate in the procurement of the crops, though a transparent process. The government will provide some tax incentives and a commission to the private entities involved in the procurement process as it will reduce to financial implications for the government. It will also reduce the government liability for storage and post procurement management and disposal. Conclusion: the minimum support price is a key policy of union government to determine floor price of major agricultural commodities so that the farmers are protected from middlemen and fluctuating market conditions so as to provide them an assured market in addition to a minimum assured return. However, there are plenty of hurdles in the implementation of the MSP scheme, like the low procurement of crops other than wheat and paddy, delay in the announcement of the MSP, lack of proper awareness about the MSP among farmers, heavy transportation costs, lack of storage facilities, etc. A proper implementation of the proposed concept of the market assurance scheme and the price deficiency procurement scheme, which will decentralize the process of procurement of coarse grains, oilseeds, and pulses, etc., may prove beneficial to the farmers who suffer by the losing their investment in the case of falling prices in the market dominated by the middlemen.